Welcome, Modern Talkers. This is Modern Talk now. Modern Talk. Why? Welcome, Modern Talkers, and you're welcome, Modern Talkers, because we're here now. We're in the digital video space, and it's been a long time coming. I didn't want to do this for a long time, and I still don't want to do it for like one-on-one interviews because it's more personal, I think, and you kind of forget that you're being recorded, and I like that. And you get too jittery and like self-conscious, so, and it's way harder, but more importantly, the other stuff. A little update on me. It's been a while. I'm now 0-3 for breakups, and actually I guess it's this way for you guys. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. We'll cut both out. I got broken up with decently recently, and it hurts. It hurts. It doesn't hurt right now because I'm excited talking to you, but I know as soon as this stops, I'm gonna be like, ooh, there it is. There it is. It hurts. It hurts. You know, I don't even know what I wanted to go with that. I guess I'm alerting it, because there is an interesting story as to why it happened. I don't want to get too in the weeds because then it gets boring and it's therapy that I'm making you pay for somehow. Usually the therapist, which is you in this case, is getting paid, but I'd be making you pay with your time by just sitting and listening to me, which that's what Peter Green's for, my best friend. Also, what do you guys think about this? I have multiple best friends. Is that cool? I think I have 3. I have Pete, he's from college, he was on the podcast. I have Sammy, he's from camp, we met at camp. We only see each other, Sammy and I, like once or twice a year, but I still consider him my best friend, and I know he doesn't consider me his best friend, but I don't care. He's still my best friend. And we don't even talk that much, but I still, like, we're definitely best friends at one point. For me, for sure. But anyway, and then Ricky, who's the co-host of this podcast that's never here. Gosh, it's hot in here already. Yes, dude. What are we, like 4 minutes in? Oh wow. Okay. Yeah, and I see him 4-ish times a year, but sometimes it's like 4 days in a row, and then not for 8 months. But I see Pete probably like more than that, but we talk almost every day now. Anyway, so what's your take on having multiple best friends? Is there only one? Can't we all be friends? Best friends? Yeah, so I don't want to get too in the weeds with everything, but with I think it was the last podcast, I'm doing these out of order and confusing and way backlogged, so this is gonna be hard to keep the timeline straight for you guys, but I'm gonna do my best. I think the last episode I talked about how I got the opportunity to do a stand-up gig at a a coffee house, the grand opening of a coffee house. And that was really exciting news. I gave her my card because I wanted to work with her in a different capacity. I work with like a marketing thing as well. It's stupid. It's weird to try to explain it to you guys today, Junior. But anyway, I'm a freelancer. I guess I should just say that. Like, I do whatever for money. You know, like hookers are freelancers too, though. So it's like, what does that really mean? But I went to film school. I don't know if, you know, if you're listening to this, you probably know that. And so I was like, hey, you're new. Do you want like some help with video marketing stuff? Which is so gross. I hate doing that stuff. And the people from my company are just pressuring me. So that's the only reason I did it. It turned out to be good. I don't mind marketing as much if it's something you believe in, but I hate networking. I know that's wrong as a business person, but it's just not me. Like, I just want to be natural and be friends. And like the best people say, you know, oh, it is natural if you just like take the right step, you know, the first step at first and whatever. But so I gave her my card because at the time I didn't have a card with that other company. And I was like, you know, this is my card, but I'm part of this other blah, blah, blah. And it on my card, I'll probably put it like right here or something, that I'm a comedy writer. And I made that in college because that's what I ultimately want to be. And it's kind of general, but because, you know, if this is a comedy podcast, which I don't know, it kind of is. I don't know, that feels generous to say, but a comedy writer is general, so I kind of put that there because I didn't know it was a project. You had to make 50 whatever cards, and so I put comedy writer there, and so whenever I give my business card out, it's still that. And I don't know what I would change it to if I were to make more, but I still have a lot left. So if you want one, you know, hit me up in the DMs on my website, whatever you want to do. I don't remember. And she's like, oh, like you're a comedy writer. And I was like, yeah, I do stand up and stuff like that. And at that point I hadn't done stand up for at least 4 months probably. Because there's one open mic here that I know of. I've heard rumblings of others, but I'll have to look into that more. But rumblings of more. Yeah, there's only one open mic there, and it got like, I don't know. I just wasn't feeling it anymore as much, and which is an excuse, and I shouldn't let that get to me. But I don't know if you can hear that from the dumpster guys here. Man, that sounds like Transformers outside. I don't know if you could hear it. It's still clanking. I think it goes on for a couple minutes. So let's just keep going because I don't feel like stopping. What was I saying? I'm so good at losing my place. Woo! So good at losing my place. So she's like, oh, we should have you like do something here. And I was like, yeah, of course. And she's like, maybe an open mic, something like that, blah, blah, blah. And then I went there. We had a meeting with the other company, and she at like the end of that meeting, she said, oh, and on the 4th you're gonna be doing stand up for our grand opening. And she's like, here, I already have you in my calendar. And I was like, oh, okay. So that gave me a month. Maybe I told this part of the story, but this is for people who didn't hear that part, because we might have a new audience with the video. If you are new, check out TommyWaite.com/podcast for the backlog of regular podcasts. Jeez, it's so loud. I'm so sweaty. Ooh. Okay. So all of a sudden I'm super stressed. I only have a month, and she said, how long do you want to, I asked actually, how long are you thinking like that you want me to do? And she's like, whatever, I don't know. And I was like, I could probably do 20 minutes. And she didn't seem super impressed by that, I think. I couldn't tell. I imagine she was like, but people on Netflix do an hour, which I don't think I have that much material, and if I did, I might have that much material, but I would have to like really, I do have a lot of material, but memorizing all of that and feeling like it's fleshed out and stuff, that part would be the hard part, hardest. Well, anyway. I said 20 minutes. I was like, I could probably do 30 if I really, really go for it. But gosh, it's so hot. Yes. That doesn't even help. Like, stupid. It's just like people in movies do this, and I think I'm also hot because I'm talking about something that's like really touchy for me. Anyway, so I was like, yeah, 20 minutes, and then I ended up doing like 25, which is, that's good. So I could have done 30 if I really like went crazy on them, but so after that, after that meeting, I wanted to be a good boyfriend. This place is really hip and happening, and they are very inclusive, and they have gluten-free, nut-free, vegan, dairy, I don't know. They just have everything that you would think that someone couldn't have. Because of an allergy or something, they have it. So I got her a blueberry vegan donut, nut free, and I asked the lady, this is for my girlfriend, she's has nut allergies, this is nut free, right? And she's like, oh yeah, we do everything, blah blah blah. She went into like the philosophy of why they do that, and so I was excited to give it to my girlfriend, and she's like, oh thanks, and she was skeptical of it, and so a couple days later, because I gave it to her at night and she didn't want it at night, so a couple of days later for breakfast, she was skeptical, but I even sent her stuff on from Instagram, like, oh, because the company was saying, the coffee place was saying that, oh, look at all this stuff we're doing, it's so inclusive and all that stuff, which is great. And I was like, see, it's really nut free and it's really vegan and stuff. And she was still skeptical, which I respect that she like felt that in her soul still, despite all the evidence of Instagram. And so she only took a small bite, and she felt bad like almost instantly, because she's allergic to milk, dairy, eggs, which are different, and peanuts. And so when she bit into that, she felt an allergic reaction, and basically it was really bad. and she had to go to the hospital. Basically, she didn't like how I handled it, and I understand from that point of view. And then I made a joke the next day to try to smooth things over. And I was like, how's your day going? Anyone try to poison you yet? And because I technically poisoned her because she's allergic to that. So that wasn't the right thing to say. to quote Mike Birbiglia. See, that's a hard one. To quote Mike Birbiglia, what I should have said was nothing. No, I should have said something though. Just not that joke. Although I think, either way, I think it would have ended up like this, broken up with. But the donut was kind of just the catalyst. But she didn't like that I made a joke about it. And so, well, I don't think she's ever been upset at a joke that I've done, which is surprising and awesome, and kind of speaks to how she was offended by this one. I guess it was too close to home and too soon, and I understand. So, she was basically, she said, I kind of want some space. And I was like, oh, shoot. Like, I didn't know it was that bad. Wow, okay. I respect your boundary, stuff like that. And this is probably even more than I wanted to say, but so we took like a week off from in person, and then I was obviously dreading it, and it didn't she didn't feel like her to me, and I was like, oh man, like she never really talked to me like this, and it was scary, and that was really gut-wrenching, dreadful week, and I cried because I thought it was over, but I didn't know necessarily. And then as the week went on, she got more warm to me, and then finally she said, and I don't like telling this story at all, unless it's really long, and this is the short version, believe it or not. But because there's so much nuance to any breakup story, I'm sure, but especially to this one, because there's so many elements. So that it wasn't really the donut. I wish that she hadn't had that reaction, the allergic reaction, and I feel responsible that I didn't, somehow know that it was not right, and it's not necessarily my fault, but it's not my fault. Like, it wouldn't have happened if I didn't give her that donut, obviously. So it's hard to kind of overlook that fact, but like I said, I think this would have happened no matter what. It was kind of just a matter of time, and which is kind of crazy because we were together 10 months, and that, that we were, it never felt like thin ice, but if a donut cracked that ice, it's kind of surprising that nothing else broke that ice. I think that kind of speaks to how, solid and nice and easy our relationship was for the most part. There's always ups and downs in relationships, but Not a down like a donut down. So so she finally said, I think we should talk in person, and I kind of wish that I would look it up. Okay. Now this is way in the weeds, but and I'm not even gonna read all what I thought I was wanted to read, but oh my gosh. You either laugh or you cry, so I'm just gonna laugh. So right before this, she said she wants to talk, and she said, everything I want to say comes from a place of love. I just feel we need to talk in person. What the heck do you think that means? I mean, if that's not preemptive breakup, then I don't know what is. And then she goes on to say, I don't want to hurt you by any means or anything like that. I just have to talk to you. And I said, I really appreciate that you come from a place of love, but by the way you worded that makes it very hard for me to think I'll still be your boyfriend at the end of the night. At this point, I was thinking, okay, she's gonna break up with me, but at least it's gonna be a nice breakup. It's not gonna be like, I hate you, I never want to see you again. Like, that's a bad breakup. So I was like, at least it's gonna be with love, and that's all you could really ask about any situation, which is extremely hard and nearly impossible to do. It is impossible to do with every situation, but it's nearly impossible with any situation, honestly. So at this point, I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure, because she didn't say it, but it's like, come on, she said it. And at one point on the drive over, it's so weird driving over to knowing that you're driving to get broken up with. That is such a weird. I was just like praying I would get in a crash or something, to delay it, or make it not happen somehow. And obviously I didn't really want to get in a crash, but it's like, can we not do this? But I also wanted to do it and get it over with. And at one point I was like, I'm just gonna kind of force it out of her quickly, and then part ways, and then I'll go play cards with people from church, because they were playing cards, and that's what I left from. And I'll feel better once I'm back playing cards. But that probably wouldn't have even been true. I would have been like, Tommy, do you have a 9? And I'm just like completely zoned out. Anyway, I feel like none of this should be in the podcast. I don't know. But anyway, so as soon as I open the door, wow, it's time to laugh again, because I'm gonna cry. I open the door and we say hi, and I didn't have shoes on because I came from swimming before the cards. And swimming and cards was at the same place, but we swam, and then we're about to play cards, and then she called or texted, and so I didn't think to bring shoes. I was like, I'm gonna get broken up with. Is shoes really necessary? So she said no shoes, and I said no shoes, and then we hugged, and then we started crying. For a long time, like a minute or something, and it's been a month and a half, a month and 3/4 since it's happened, and I haven't like really thought about this in a while, 'cause it hurts, and I think that's why I'm feeling it now, and then she's like, will you come sit with me? And she takes my hand and leads me to the couch, and I feel like this should not be on a podcast. This is like, real stuff. Like, this belongs in a movie with different people, like my movie. Check out Streetwalking on TommyWhite.com/streetwalking. And then we sit down and start crying more. And we still haven't said anything besides no shoes and sit with me. And it's like, why are we crying? And we know why, but we didn't really say why. And then somehow it got brought up eventually after, it feels like forever. But it ended up being a really long time in real life too. She said, like, why are you crying or something? And I was like, 'cause you're gonna break up with me. And and we cry more, and then she eventually says, Tommy, I'm not breaking up with you. And I'm like, okay, then why are we crying? Why am I here? Why wasn't I here for a week? What's going on? And we talk stuff out, and we've like barely even talked about the donut part, because it really wasn't about that. She feels like she needs space to grow, and that sucks that I can't, that she doesn't feel like I could be with her through that process. I don't know why, that's just like the acceptance thing that you need to do. Frog in my throat. 'Cause you don't know why exactly, but I also get it. Like, I feel like I've grown since we've broken up, but and I don't know if I would have cared to do that if I was still in a relationship, because when you're in a relationship, you're just happy and you don't have time to like get in the weeds on, I feel like that's my new favorite phrase, I say that a lot, to concerned with bettering yourself deeply, and that's okay, I think, but at some point you have to take it on yourself and do that in a relationship. I don't think I've learned how to do that yet, because I'm just so content. It's like, you know, she loves me who I am, and, you know, not that I don't need to be better, but I want to focus on making her life good. And anyway, so she said all that stuff about needing to grow and that stuff, and she's like, I gotta be single for at least a year. I feel like I want to be with you ultimately, like you're the best boyfriend, and I don't want anyone else, but I do feel like I need this time alone. And so that made me feel like at least a little good, and I was like, no, I understand, like I want to be with you too, but you know, at the time I was like, I'll wait for her. And I have, and I at the time I promised her to be single for 3 months, and then if things haven't changed with how she feels about everything and hasn't grown enough or whatever, she wants to do, then like I'm free. But I'm free now. But I also feel like it's good for me to not be in a relationship now either. And what's good is I'm sweating so much and I'm really hot, and but the AC's creaking still, so at least the audio's still bad, but I'm hot. So then I was thinking later after the breakup, which that ended up being, I think, it was either 2 or 3 hours. 2 is for sure. 3 is a maybe. Anyway, it was a long time, and it was really hard, obviously. But we left it really nice, which was great. And I was thinking later, she probably said that thing about still wanting to be with me and stuff. She just kind of said that to soften the blow. And, so I said that, and I was like, it pains me so much to even think this, but I do see that there is someone out there better for you than me, and who's like cooler and like a vegan, because she's a vegan, and just like hipper, and because she's like a cool hippie girl. And so I was like, yeah, I could see that there is someone out there better for you. And I understand you probably just said, the thing about only wanting to be with me, to soften the blow. And she said, no, truly, I only want you, and I really just, I feel like I can't be a good girlfriend right now, and it's unfair to you. So that's kind of where we've been at, and we were texting for like a week, kind of consistently, and then I was like, I should give her space, and because that's what she asked for. And so then we just hadn't texted each other for like a month, and then last night, actually, I've been wanting to do this podcast for a long time, but with different circumstances. Oh, I'm jumping ahead a little bit too much. So I'm teasing you with the end, but here's the I knew I would skip stuff because it's such a long story, and there's so much stuff that happened that went into it. Okay, I'm back. The guy came early, so I took a slight hiatus, and now I'm back. So I still had that comedy gig that I was supposed to do, but it was with the place that helped poison my girlfriend. That's a sentence I thought I'd never say. So I felt kind of stuck in the middle there, and I didn't know what the right move was. Was it more respectful to turn down the gig, or would it be stupid of me to turn down the gig? And maybe both of those are true for different aspects of my life. So I didn't know which, what would matter more. Like, what would be more of a consequence negatively. So I ended up asking my ex if, what she thought about it, and if there was more information, because I talked to the lady that owns the place that told me it was all on the up and up and vegan and nut free and stuff, and she was really apologetic, but as far as I knew, nothing really happened. There was no apology from her before I do the gig. I want to kind of know everything, if there's anything else that I should know about, and I don't want to do it if that means that's going to upset you, and then we'll jeopardize our chance to get back together. And she's like, no, do what makes you happy. And I truly think that she meant that. And so I did it, and I had prepared a lot to that point, and I was delaying it because I was nervous about it, talking to her about it. And but if she flat out said like, hey, I don't want to, I don't think, if you think that's a good idea, then I don't think we could be together ever again or something, then I'd have to think a little bit harder about it. But then again, it's like, if she did say that, then is she the right one for me? So that's why, I would have had to think about it, but that would have been hard. And I don't think the coffee place would have been hurting for that, but that brings us to last night. I was at kickball, and we had 2 games. The first game was at 6 or whatever, and then the next game was at 8, and then right after I looked at my phone last, before the last game, she texted me for the first time in almost a month, I think. And she said, hey, I still have your stuff, and I'm moving soon, and there's been some BS going on, and want to see if you want to give each other our stuff back finally. I knew she was moving, so I figured she would probably want to get that stuff out. Like she doesn't want to move my stuff with her to her new place. So, but when I had a few notifications after the game, and I didn't even think about it. I clicked on her name out of muscle memory or something, and her name first, just a few texts, a few sports updates, whatever, and I just clicked on hers, and then it it took me to when it got to her screen, and I was reading her name at the top. Then I was like, oh shoot, she texted me. And so that's when I read the text, obviously. And that's when I threw the phone out of my window. But So that was last night, and so I think you're all caught up, and that's kind of where we're at, and I'm sure there'll be another update later. I've actually recorded an episode that will go after this one that I recorded already, so it'll be in 2 episodes if there's a follow-up to that. And she hasn't texted me back yet, but I said, like, whenever is good for me. And that's the basics. Like, I always, when people tell me stories and they're like, yeah, I texted this and then they texted that, and I was like, but is that all they said? Because that seemed kind of rude. And then they're like, no, well, she said this and put exclamation points and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, okay, so it wasn't the way you made it sound. So I'm leaving parts out of the text, but basically that's the sentiment. But it's not those are the words, but that wasn't really the sentiment. It was like kind of like she put a smiley face, for example, and I put a few exclamation points, and she said sorry that because she's working from like 9 to 9 p.m. or whatever, so like 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. So she's like, it has to be in the morning or at night. And she's like, sorry in advance. And I was like, you don't have to be sorry. You don't have to apologize for, making a lot of money. But, so yeah, there's more nuance to stuff. And people don't talk about that. And it makes me mad because I'm like, well, I don't feel like I get what you're saying because there's more to the story. You're leaving stuff out that's very important that will inform the rest of the story. Especially if you want me to give you advice, like it can't just be like, oh, she said this and then I said this, what do I do? It's like, well, what was the last line in her text? Like that means something. But I also read this book, Talking to Strangers, and it talks about how judges get stuff wrong all the time because they're biased in that they hear more of the story and like the reasons behind why they do stuff. So they like let people off that shouldn't be, and they condemn people that shouldn't be because they dressed up kind of ratty and didn't have someone like helping them with their hair or something. So like all this stuff clouds it, and but if you just look at the facts, he robbed a bank. I guess that's kind of cut and dry, but like he was at this place at this time, and then at this place at this time, and then this person was found dead then, and then they went out of town, and like that is all you need. It's like, okay, he did it, and all this extra stuff is kind of clouds the facts. And so that kind of throws a wrench into my rant about nuance. I don't know, maybe it's different for judges and people telling stories. Anyway, dude, I think that's my breakup story thus far. That's like, that's one of those terms that only grown-ups use, and it's because other grown-ups use it, and it just sounds smarter, but it's not. It's just a different way to say so far. Like, teachers always did that. They're like, what I'm gonna say is the following, and then they say it. I'm like, just say the thing, because why are you wasting my time? I'm gonna say this. I'm saying this. Okay, just say this, but it's actually a teaching tactic where people like, okay, they click in because they say, I'm gonna say the following, and they're like, oh, what's the following? So it it's what they teach to teachers, but it's annoying to me as a person that's always listening or doesn't want to listen to any of it. So just tell me what it is and let me do my work or whatever. I think about that all the time. I don't know why. anytime someone says like, what I'm gonna say is this, man, uh, like, just say it. You're stalling. I don't know why you're stalling. You either don't know what you're gonna say next, or you want to sound cool, and if that's what you think is cool. Thus far. And that also made me think of a video game. They always said that in a video game, and I don't remember. It's from my childhood. It was either like NHL or Madden, and now I want to play video games really bad, but I need to be productive instead. And I don't even have a PlayStation or anything. If I play any games, it's on my phone. Anyway, so something I realized recently, this is kind of a departure from what we were just saying, like hopefully a little bit of a palate cleanser. I realized, I don't know why I didn't realize it before. I guess it was because of the caveat that that I, I'm privileged that my parents pay for like insurance and my phone and some groceries, but I'm not totally, but I realize that I'm supporting myself only working on creative stuff pretty much. I cut a few lawns sometimes, but just to make some extra money, and I've been doing that since I was like 13 or something, 14. But anyway, so I just had this moment, I don't know what made me realize it, but that I'm only working, and maybe I should be working more and like have a part-time job on the side, and I'm living with a guy who's giving me like a discounted rent, just because out of the kindness of his heart. But so I'm not like fully where I want to be, obviously. I'm in the corner of a church right now, just a white wall behind me and some lights, and I want to be bigger than this, and but this is where I am now, and I'm appreciative of everything that I have so far. I'm just saying, I'm not totally there where I'm like fully supporting myself and stuff like that, and hopefully doing this now with the help of people that love me and that I love, that I could get the opportunity to work my way up to where I want to be fully, self-sufficient and but also creative. And that's really cool to think about that, because I remember in college people would ask me, or like friends or whatever would say, what's your goal? And a couple times I said I just want to work enough on creative stuff just to support myself, and I'm supporting myself. It's not with all the stuff that I want to be doing, but it is creative. I work at a TV studio, I work at that marketing video production team company thing, and that's not ultimately what I want to do, but it is, it's creative, and even cutting the grass is kind of creative. You have to figure out ways to cut things, and I mean it's very minimal, but you could be creative about anything. You just have to be creative enough to think it and see it and want to do it. So I don't know, that hopefully that cleansed the palate a little bit. I forgot to say this, but I'm 0-3 with breakups, because I'm not a quitter. um, yeah. I feel like there should be another part to that line or joke or whatever. Like, that's... yeah. Anyway. Probably wasn't a good one to end on, but that's where we are, and we have to accept what is. And even though that's really hard sometimes. And now I can't wait to get behind these lights and not be so hot and shut off or turn on the AC and leave. But it's not because I don't love talking to you guys, because I do. And someone just walked in here, and that's weird. But, you know, that's how we have to accept it. And I'll go say hi to that person now. Bye. I hope this made you think. And keep in touch.
Welcome, Modern Talkers.